My sister sent me a wedding gift list asking for a car, an apartment, and designer bags. I told her I wasn't buying any of it. She exploded and screamed, "Then don't even come." So I didn't. And what happened next had the entire family blaming her. My name is Jessica, and I'm 28 years old. My sister Madison is 25, and she's always been the golden child in our family. Growing up, she got everything she wanted while I worked part-time jobs throughout high school and college to pay for my own things. Our parents, Robert and Linda, always justified it by saying Madison was more delicate and needed extra support. Fast forward to today, and I'm a successful marketing director at a tech company in Seattle. I make good money, live in a nice apartment, and have worked incredibly hard to get where I am. Madison, on the other hand, got engaged to her boyfriend Tyler 18 months ago and has been planning what she calls the wedding of the century ever since. The drama started 3 weeks ago when I received a text from Madison that made my blood boil. She wrote, "Hey Jess. I'm so excited about the wedding. I've put together a special gift list just for you since you're my only sister and make such good money now. Can't wait to see what you pick." Attached was a PDF titled Madison's Wedding Gift Expectations for Jessica. I opened it expecting maybe some expensive china or kitchen appliances. What I saw instead made me nearly drop my phone. The list included a brand new BMW 3 Series, estimated cost, $45,000, first year's rent for their dream apartment in downtown Portland, $24,000, a complete Louis Vuitton luggage set, $8,000, Tiffany & Company wedding jewelry set, $12,000, professional wedding photography upgrade, $5,000, honeymoon trip to the Maldives, $15,000, designer wedding dress alterations, $2,000. The total came to over $111,000. At the bottom, she had written in pink font, "I know this seems like a lot, but you're doing so well financially, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Plus, you'll be getting all the credit as the most generous sister ever." I stared at the screen in complete disbelief. Was she absolutely insane? Even though I make decent money, spending over $100,000 on wedding gifts would completely drain my savings and leave me in debt. I had been planning to give them a generous gift of around $2,000, which I thought was more than appropriate. I called my best friend Sarah immediately. "You're not going to believe what Madison just sent me," I said, forwarding her the PDF. Sarah was quiet for a long moment after I sent it. Then she exploded. "Jessica, this is completely unhinged. She's treating you like her personal ATM. This isn't a gift list, this is financial abuse." I knew Sarah was right, but part of me wondered if I was being unreasonable. Madison had always gotten expensive things, and maybe she genuinely thought this was normal. I decided to call her directly to have a calm conversation about it. "Madison, I got your gift list," I started carefully. "I think there might be some confusion about what I can afford." "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice immediately getting defensive. "Well, the total is over $111,000. That's more than I make in an entire year after taxes. I was planning to give you guys a nice gift, but this amount would literally bankrupt me." Madison's tone turned icy. "Jessica, you make almost 6 figures. Don't act like you're poor. This is my wedding, the most important day of my life, and you're being incredibly selfish." "Madison, making 6 figures doesn't mean I have 6 figures lying around. I have rent, student loans, car payments, and I'm trying to save for my own future. I can give you a generous gift, but not anywhere near this amount." "So what are you saying exactly?" she demanded. I took a deep breath. "I'm saying I'm not buying any of these things. I'll give you a thoughtful, generous gift within my actual budget, not some fantasy wish list." That's when Madison absolutely lost it. "Are you kidding me right now?" she screamed so loudly I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "I've been planning this wedding for months. I already told Tyler's family that my successful sister was handling the big-ticket items. You're going to humiliate me." "Madison, calm down. I never agreed to any of this. You can't just decide I'm spending my life savings on your wedding." "You're so selfish," she continued screaming. "Mom and Dad always said you were the responsible one, but you're just greedy. You don't want to see me happy. That's not fair and you know it. I want you to be happy, but I'm not going into debt for your wedding." "Fine," she shrieked. "If you're not going to support me on the most important day of my life, then don't even come to my wedding. I don't want you there." The line went dead. I sat there staring at my phone, shaking with a mixture of hurt and anger. My own sister had just uninvited me from her wedding because I wouldn't spend my entire net worth on her gift list. Within an hour, my phone was buzzing with messages from family members. Mom texted, "Jessica, Madison is crying hysterically. She said you refused to help with the wedding at all. What's going on?" Dad called and left a voicemail, "Honey, your mother and I are very disappointed. We raised you to be generous and supportive of family. Madison needs your help right now." My Aunt Carol, who was always stirring up drama, posted on Facebook, Some people forget what family means when they get a little success. Praying for Madison during this difficult time. I was furious that Madison had clearly twisted the story to make herself look like the victim. I screenshot the gift list and sent it to my parents with a message: "This is what Madison wanted me to buy. The total is $111,000. I offered a reasonable gift, but she uninvited me from the wedding when I said I couldn't afford her luxury demands." My mom called me immediately. "Jessica, surely this is a mistake. Madison wouldn't ask for this much." "Mom, she sent this to me directly. Look at the PDF metadata, it's from her email address." There was a long pause. "Well, maybe she was just excited and got carried away. You know how she is about special events." "Mom, she screamed at me and told me not to come to her wedding. I'm your daughter too. Where's my support in this?" My dad got on the phone. "Jessica, we've always been able to count on you to be the mature one. Maybe you could compromise and pick a few smaller items from the list?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Even with proof of Madison's outrageous demands, they were still taking her side and expecting me to just suck it up. "Dad, the cheapest single item on this list is $2,000 for dress alterations. There is no smaller item. She wants me to buy them a car, pay their rent, and fund their honeymoon. This is insane." Language, Jessica. We don't like this attitude you've developed lately. That's when I realized nothing I said would matter. Madison could ask me to buy her the moon, and if I said no, I'd still be the unreasonable one in their eyes. "Fine," I said calmly. "You all have made your position very clear. I won't be attending the wedding, and I won't be sending any gift at all. If Madison wants to throw a tantrum like a toddler, she can deal with the consequences." I hung up and immediately blocked Madison's number. I was done with the drama. Over the next 2 weeks, the family group chat that I was still part of became increasingly frantic. Madison had apparently told everyone, Tyler's family, their friends, extended relatives, that I was paying for major parts of the wedding. Now, with 3 weeks until the big day, she was in full panic mode trying to figure out how to cover the costs. My cousin Emma, who had always been neutral in family drama, texted me privately, "Jess, I saw Madison's gift list. That's absolutely crazy. I just wanted you to know not everyone thinks you're wrong." It turned out Emma wasn't the only one who felt that way. My Uncle Mike, Dad's brother, called me directly. "Jessica, your father showed me that list Madison sent you. I've been married for 30 years, and my entire wedding didn't cost half of what she was expecting you to spend on gifts alone. You were right to say no." "Thanks, Uncle Mike. It's nice to hear someone say that. Listen, there's something else you should know. Madison called my wife asking if we could help cover what Jessica was supposed to provide. She specifically asked us to pay for their honeymoon since we don't have kids to spend money on." My jaw dropped. "She's hitting up other family members?" "Oh, it gets worse. She called your grandparents asking for the car money. Your 82-year-old grandfather told her that was more than his entire retirement savings account." I felt sick. Madison was going around to elderly family members asking for tens of thousands of dollars because I had refused to bankrupt myself for her wedding. "Uncle Mike, I had no idea she was doing this." "Well, now you know why half the family is starting to see through her act. Your grandmother is furious that Madison would even ask them for car money at their age." The wedding was now 2 weeks away, and according to Emma, Madison was having daily meltdowns. Tyler's parents had been expecting certain upgrades that Madison had promised would be covered by generous family contributions, and now Madison had to tell them the money wasn't coming. The photographer they had booked for the upgrade package was demanding payment upfront. The BMW dealership had called asking when Madison wanted to complete her purchase after she had put the car on hold. The luxury apartment she had told Tyler they were definitely getting had been rented to someone else when she couldn't provide the deposit. But the real chaos started when Madison's maid of honor, her best friend Ashley, called me out of the blue. "Jessica, I'm so sorry to bother you, but I'm really worried about Madison. She's been telling everyone that you're trying to ruin her wedding because you're jealous of her happiness." "Ashley, did she show you the gift list she sent me?" "What gift list?" I forwarded Ashley the PDF. There was silence on the other end of the line for several minutes. "Jessica, this is absolutely insane. She asked you to buy them a car? And pay their rent for a year, and fund their honeymoon, and buy them designer luggage. The total was over $111,000. Oh my God. She told me you refused to help at all with the wedding. She never mentioned any specific amounts. Everyone thinks you just don't want to spend any money on her. Well, now you know the truth." Ashley was quiet for a moment. "Jessica, there's something else. Madison asked me to cover the photography upgrade because Jessica left us hanging. I told her I couldn't afford $5,000, and she got really nasty with me. She said if I was really her friend, I'd figure out a way to make it work." This was getting worse by the day. Madison was now pressuring her own friends to cover the costs she had expected me to pay. "Ashley, I'm really sorry she's putting you in that position. It's not your fault. I'm starting to see a side of Madison I never noticed before. She actually told me that if I couldn't help financially, maybe I shouldn't be in the wedding party because she needs people who are truly supportive. I felt terrible that Ashley was getting caught in the crossfire of Madison's financial desperation. The final straw came 1 week before the wedding. My parents called me together on speakerphone, which they only did for serious family meetings. "Jessica, we need to talk," my mom started. "I'm listening." Madison is beside herself. The wedding is falling apart because she can't afford everything she planned. She's been crying for days. "Mom, she planned a wedding she couldn't afford and expected me to pay for it. That's not my responsibility." My dad jumped in. "Jessica, we've been thinking about this situation, and we've decided to take out a loan against the house to help Madison cover some of the wedding costs." I was speechless. My parents were going to mortgage their home to pay for Madison's ridiculous wedding demands. "Dad, please tell me you're not serious." "We are serious. We can't stand to see Madison this upset. But we wanted to give you one more chance to step up and do the right thing before we sacrifice our financial security." "The right thing?" "Dad, I offered to give her a generous gift within my budget. She demanded I spend my entire life savings and then uninvited me from her wedding when I said no. How is any of this my fault?" "Because you make more money than the rest of us, and family helps family," my mom said. "So Madison can demand whatever she wants from me, and if I can't afford it, I'm the bad guy?" "You can afford it, Jessica. You just don't want to." That's when I realized my parents had no concept of my actual financial situation. They thought because I made decent money, I must have unlimited funds available. "Mom, Dad, I make $78,000 a year before taxes. After taxes, student loans, rent, car payment, insurance, and basic living expenses, I save maybe $800 a month. Madison's gift list would take me 12 years to pay off, and that's if I never spent money on anything else." There was silence on the other end. We didn't realize," my mom said quietly. "Madison told us you were making almost 6 figures, Dad added. "I do make almost 6 figures. $78,000 is almost 6 figures. But almost 6 figures isn't the same as having 6 figures in the bank." I could hear them whispering to each other with the phone muted. "Jessica," my mom came back on the line. "We owe you an apology. We had no idea Madison was asking for so much money, or that it would be such a burden for you. Mom, she sent me a list asking me to buy them a BMW. How did you think that was reasonable? She told us you were just being difficult about contributing to the wedding. She never mentioned specific amounts." My dad cleared his throat. "Jessica, we're not taking out the loan. We can't afford to risk our house for a wedding." "What are you going to tell Madison?" "The truth. That we can't afford to enable her unrealistic expectations, and that she owes you a massive apology." But Madison wasn't ready to apologize. Instead, she doubled down on blaming me for ruining her perfect day. 3 days before the wedding, Emma called me with an update. "Jess, you're not going to believe what happened at the family dinner tonight." "Tell me." Madison stood up during dessert and gave this whole speech about how you've always been jealous of her and how you're trying to sabotage her wedding because you can't stand to see her happy. "In front of everyone?" "Everyone. Grandma, Grandpa, all the aunts and uncles, Tyler's parents, the whole crowd." She started crying and saying she didn't know how she was going to face Tyler's family when they realized how unsupportive her own sister was. I cringed imagining the scene. "But here's the thing, Jess. Uncle Mike stood up and asked Madison to explain exactly what you had refused to help with. So she started listing things off, the car, the apartment, the designer bags." "Oh no." "Oh yes." Tyler's mom looked horrified. She asked Madison how much money we were talking about, and Madison said only around $100,000 like it was pocket change. I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it. Grandpa literally choked on his coffee. He asked Madison if she seriously expected you to spend $100,000 on wedding gifts, and she said yes, because family supports family. "What happened then?" Tyler's dad asked Tyler if he knew Madison had asked you for this much money. Tyler looked like he had seen a ghost. Apparently, Madison had told him that you had volunteered to help with wedding expenses, not that she had demanded a 6-figure gift contribution. This was getting better and better. Tyler asked Madison to step outside to talk privately. We could hear them arguing in the backyard. Tyler was furious that Madison had asked for so much money without even discussing it with him first. Is Tyler having second thoughts about the wedding? I don't know about the wedding, but he's definitely having thoughts about Madison. He came back inside and apologized to everyone for the misunderstanding. Then he asked your parents for your phone number so he could apologize to you directly. I was shocked. I barely knew Tyler, but apparently he had more sense than anyone else in this situation. Did Madison come back inside? Eventually. But by then, everyone was looking at her differently. Grandma told her she was disappointed in how you've treated your sister, and Aunt Susan said she thought Madison owed you an apology. How did Madison react to that? She started crying again and ran upstairs to your old bedroom. Tyler went after her, and we could hear them fighting through the ceiling for another hour. 2 days before the wedding, Tyler called me directly. Jessica, this is Tyler, Madison's fiancé. I wanted to apologize for this whole situation. Tyler, you don't need to apologize. This isn't your fault. Actually, it kind of is. Madison told me you were helping with wedding expenses, but she made it sound like you had offered, not that she had asked. I had no idea she had sent you a list with specific demands. Did you see the list? She showed it to me yesterday during our fight. Jessica, I'm horrified. I would never ask anyone to spend that kind of money on our wedding, family or not. I was starting to like Tyler. He seemed to be the only reasonable person in this entire mess. Tyler, can I ask you something? Of course. Did you know Madison was calling other family members asking for money too? There was a long pause. What do you mean? I told him about Madison asking our grandparents for car money and pressuring Uncle Mike and Aunt Linda to pay for the honeymoon. Jesus Christ, Tyler muttered. Jessica, I swear to you, I had no idea she was doing any of this. I thought the wedding budget we agreed on was what we were spending. What budget did you agree on? $30,000 total. We've been saving for 2 years to pay for it ourselves. I had no idea Madison was planning all these upgrades and expecting other people to pay for them. Now I understood why Tyler looked so shocked at the family dinner. He thought they were having a $30,000 wedding, not a $150,000 extravaganza funded by unwilling family members. Tyler, what are you going to do? Honestly? I'm not sure. I love Madison, but this whole situation has shown me a side of her that really concerns me. The entitlement, the manipulation, the way she's treated you and other family members. It's not who I thought I was marrying. The day before the wedding, Madison finally called me. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Jessica? Her voice was small and shaky. Yes? I wanted to talk to you about the wedding. I waited for her to continue. Tyler is really upset with me. He says I've been unfair to you and that I owe you an apology. Okay. The thing is, I don't think I was wrong to ask for help. You do make good money, and this is my wedding. I sighed. Even now, she couldn't admit that her demands were unreasonable. Madison, asking for help and demanding $111,000 in gifts are two different things. It wasn't $111,000. It was like $100,000. Madison, I literally added it up. It was $111,000. Okay, fine. But you could afford it if you really wanted to. No, Madison, I couldn't. I've explained this to you multiple times. Well, Tyler says the wedding is ruined now because we can't afford everything I planned. Madison, did you plan a wedding you couldn't afford assuming other people would pay for it? She was quiet for a moment. I thought family would help. Helping would be contributing a reasonable amount to a wedding within your budget. What you did was plan an expensive wedding and then assign the costs to family members without asking. I just wanted everything to be perfect. At other people's expense. Madison started crying. Jessica, everyone is mad at me. Tyler's parents think I'm a gold digger. Grandma says she's disappointed in me. Even Ashley is being weird and distant. Madison, this is what happens when you treat people like ATMs instead of family members. Can you please just come to the wedding? I promise I won't ask you for any gifts. Madison, you uninvited me, remember? You screamed at me and told me not to come. I was just upset. I didn't mean it. You meant it enough to tell the whole family that I was refusing to help with your wedding and let them think I was just being selfish. I'm sorry about that. Madison, I don't think you're actually sorry. I think you're embarrassed that everyone found out what you really asked for, and now you want me to show up and pretend everything is fine so you can save face. That's not true. Then why didn't you call me 3 weeks ago to apologize? Why are you only calling now, the day before your wedding, when everyone knows the truth? Madison didn't have an answer for that. Jessica, please. I'm begging you. Just come to the wedding. We can work everything else out later. Madison, you've spent 3 weeks telling people I'm a terrible sister who won't support your happiness. You've asked elderly relatives for tens of thousands of dollars. You've pressured your friends to pay for your wedding expenses. You've lied to your fiancé about our conversations. Why would I want to celebrate your marriage after all of that? Because I'm your sister. Sisters don't treat each other the way you've treated me. The wedding happened without me. According to Emma, it was a beautiful but notably smaller affair than Madison had originally planned. No BMW sat in the parking lot with a bow on it. No professional photographer captured upgraded shots. The couple left for their honeymoon in Oregon instead of the Maldives. But here's what Madison didn't expect: the family drama didn't end with the wedding. Tyler's parents, who had heard about Madison's demands firsthand, were apparently having serious conversations with Tyler about their new daughter-in-law. Emma overheard Tyler's mom telling someone that she was concerned about Madison's financial expectations and what that might mean for Tyler's future. Our grandparents, who Madison had asked for $45,000 in car money, decided to remove Madison as a beneficiary from their will. Grandpa told my dad that he couldn't trust Madison to be responsible with an inheritance if she thought it was reasonable to ask for their entire retirement savings for a wedding gift. Uncle Mike and Aunt Linda, who had been pressured to pay for the honeymoon, declined to attend the wedding at all. Aunt Linda posted on Facebook, "Sometimes you discover that family members you thought you knew have very different values than you realized." Madison's friend Ashley stepped down as maid of honor 2 days before the wedding. According to Emma, Ashley told Madison that she was uncomfortable with how Madison had treated family members and didn't want to be associated with the drama. But the biggest consequence came a month after the wedding, when Tyler called me again. "Jessica, I wanted to give you an update on everything that's happened since the wedding. How are things going?" "Not great, honestly. Madison and I are in marriage counseling. The whole wedding situation made me realize there are some fundamental differences in our values that we need to work through." "I'm sorry to hear that. The thing is, the problems didn't stop after the wedding. Last week, Madison saw that you got a promotion at work. She follows your company's LinkedIn page, apparently, and she called to congratulate you. I hadn't heard from Madison since the day before her wedding, so this was news to me." "She congratulated me?" "Well, sort of. She congratulated you and then asked if you'd be willing to help us with a down payment on a house now that you're making more money." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Tyler, she asked me for house down payment money?" "A $50,000 down payment, specifically. She said since you owed her for missing the wedding, this would be a good way to make it up to her." I was speechless. After everything that had happened, Madison still thought I owed her money. "What did you tell her?" I told her absolutely not. I said we would save for our own down payment like normal adults, and that she was never to ask you for money again without discussing it with me first. "How did she react to that?" "She accused me of not supporting her relationship with her sister. She said I was trying to keep her family away from her." Tyler sighed heavily. "Jessica, I love my wife, but I'm starting to understand why you didn't come to the wedding. This pattern of behavior, it's not sustainable." 3 months after the wedding, I got a call from my mom. "Jessica, honey, I owe you another apology." "What happened now?" "Madison asked us to co-sign a loan for her and Tyler. A $75,000 loan for home renovations on the apartment they're renting." "Mom, you can't get a loan for renovations on a place you don't own." "That's what the bank told us. But Madison insisted there was a way to make it work if we just believed in her vision." I rubbed my temples, feeling a familiar headache coming on. "Madison also asked if she could borrow the wedding money we had saved up for you, in case you ever get engaged. She said since you're older and might not get married, we should invest in her happiness instead." "Mom, I'm 28, not 88. "I know, honey. That's what I told her. But she said Tyler's parents have been unsupportive since the wedding, so she needs her own family to step up more." "What did you tell her?" I told her no to everything. And I told her that her father and I are very disappointed in how she's been treating you and other family members." "How did she react?" "She hung up on me. That was 2 weeks ago, and she hasn't spoken to us since." "Mom, I'm sorry she's putting you in this position." "Don't apologize, Jessica. We should have supported you from the beginning. We can see now that Madison has some serious problems with money and expectations that we've probably enabled over the years." 6 months after the wedding, Emma called with the biggest update yet. "Jess, you're not going to believe what happened." "Try me." "Madison and Tyler are separated." I felt a pang of sadness, despite everything. I never wanted Madison's marriage to fail. "What happened?" According to Tyler, Madison opened 3 credit cards in his name and ran up $30,000 in debt buying furniture and clothes. She told him she was investing in their lifestyle and that his new job would easily cover the payments. "Tyler got a new job?" "Yeah, he's making more money now. But when he found out about the credit cards, he lost it. He said he couldn't trust Madison with money anymore." "Where is Madison now?" "She moved back in with your parents. She told them that Tyler abandoned her when she needed support, and that this whole thing started because you turned the family against her before the wedding." I wasn't surprised that Madison was still blaming me for consequences of her own actions. "How are Mom and Dad handling it?" "Better than you'd expect. Your mom told Madison that she needs to take responsibility for her choices and stop blaming other people." Madison did not take that well. I can imagine. She's been posting on Facebook about how families should support each other unconditionally and how some people abandon family when they need help most. Everyone knows she's talking about you. Let her post whatever she wants. Anyone who knows the truth can see through it. A year after the wedding that I didn't attend, I got an unexpected visitor at my apartment. Madison was standing in my hallway, looking smaller and more tired than I'd ever seen her. "Hi, Jessica." "Madison. How did you get up here without being buzzed in?" "Someone was leaving when I arrived." "Can I come in?" I hesitated, but ultimately stepped aside to let her enter. "I wanted to talk to you," she said, sitting on my couch without being invited. "Okay. Tyler and I are getting divorced." "I heard. I'm sorry." "Are you really sorry? Or are you happy that you were right about everything?" I studied my sister's face. She looked genuinely broken, and despite everything she'd put me through, I felt sympathy for her. "Madison, I never wanted your marriage to fail. I wanted you to be happy. I just wasn't willing to bankrupt myself to make it happen." She was quiet for a long moment. "Tyler said the credit card thing was the last straw, but really, it started with the wedding. He said I showed him a side of myself that scared him." "Madison, why did you ask for so much money from everyone?" "I don't know. I wanted everything to be perfect, and I thought if I asked for enough, people would just give me what I needed to make it happen." "But you didn't ask. You demanded." "I know that now." Madison started crying, and for the first time in over a year, she looked like my little sister again instead of an entitled stranger. "Jessica, I've lost everything. My husband, my friends, my reputation in the family. Tyler's parents won't even speak to me. Grandma and Grandpa act like I don't exist. I don't have a job, I'm living with Mom and Dad again, and I owe thousands of dollars in credit card debt." "Madison, I'm sorry you're going through this. But you have to understand that these are consequences of choices you made." I know I screwed up. But I don't know how to fix any of it." I looked at my sister, broken and desperate on my couch, and made a decision. "Madison, I'll help you, but not with money." She looked up hopefully. "I'll help you find a job. I'll help you make a budget to pay off your debt. I'll go with you to talk to a financial counselor. But I won't give you money, and I won't enable the behavior that got you into this mess." "Jessica, I can't ask you to do that after how I treated you." "You're not asking. I'm offering. But there are conditions." "What conditions?" "You apologize to everyone you hurt. Grandma and Grandpa, Uncle Mike and Aunt Linda, Ashley, Tyler's parents. Everyone." Madison nodded. "You get therapy to figure out why you think you're entitled to other people's money." She nodded again. "And you never, ever ask me or anyone else in this family for money again. If you need financial help, you get a loan from a bank like everyone else." I agree to all of that. "Madison, I mean it. One more incident like the wedding gift list, and I'm done. No more chances." "I understand." We sat in silence for a few minutes. "Jessica, can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Were you ever going to forgive me if I hadn't come here today?" I thought about it honestly. I don't know. I was pretty hurt by everything that happened. "I'm glad I came then." "Me too." Madison kept her word. She apologized to everyone she had hurt, though some relationships took longer to repair than others. Grandma and Grandpa eventually forgave her, but they didn't put her back in the will. Uncle Mike and Aunt Linda were cordial at family events but never quite trusted her the same way again. She got a job at a local retail store and slowly started paying down her debt. She went to therapy and started taking responsibility for her financial decisions. Most importantly, she stopped asking family members for money. Madison and Tyler's divorce was finalized 8 months later. Tyler was kind about it, and even told me privately that he hoped Madison would find happiness, but that he couldn't be married to someone he didn't trust with money. Today, 2 years after the wedding I didn't attend, Madison and I have a relationship again. It's different than it was before, there's less automatic trust, and I'm much more aware of boundaries, but it exists. Madison lives in a small studio apartment and works 2 jobs to pay off her debt. She drives a 10-year-old Honda and shops at thrift stores. She's learned to live within her means, and more importantly, she's learned that other people don't owe her their financial security. As for me, I got engaged 6 months ago to my boyfriend David, who thinks the whole wedding gift list story is completely insane. We're planning a simple wedding that we can afford ourselves, and Madison has offered to help with decorations as her gift to us. The family dynamics have shifted permanently. Madison is no longer the golden child who gets everything she wants. My parents have a much more realistic understanding of both of our financial situations. And everyone learned that enabling entitled behavior doesn't actually help anyone in the long run. Sometimes people ask me if I regret not going to Madison's wedding. The answer is no. By not attending, I forced everyone to confront the reality of Madison's behavior instead of allowing it to be swept under the rug like it had been our entire lives. The wedding gift drama became a turning point for our entire family. It exposed patterns that had been building for years: Madison's entitlement, my parents' enabling behavior, and the family's willingness to sacrifice one person's well-being to avoid Madison's tantrums. When I refused to spend my life savings on her wedding gifts and didn't attend after being uninvited, it created a domino effect that Madison never saw coming. Her elaborate lies unraveled when family members started comparing stories. Her reputation was damaged when relatives realized the extent of her financial demands. Her marriage suffered because Tyler finally saw the manipulative side of her personality that she had hidden from him. Most importantly, Madison faced real consequences for her actions for the first time in her adult life. No one rushed to rescue her from the debt she created. No one made excuses for her behavior. No one blamed her victims for not being more understanding. The irony is that if Madison had simply asked me for a reasonable contribution to her wedding, maybe $2,000 or $3,000, I would have happily given it along with my full support and attendance. But her greed and sense of entitlement cost her far more than money. It cost her relationships, trust, and respect from the people who loved her most. Looking back, I realized that not going to that wedding was one of the best decisions I ever made. It protected my financial security, preserved my self-respect, and ultimately helped my sister learn lessons she desperately needed to learn. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is refuse to enable their destructive behavior, even when it makes you the villain in their story. Madison hated me for months for not funding her fantasy wedding, but that experience forced her to grow up in ways that years of family enabling never could. Today, Madison is a more responsible, humble, and genuinely happier person than she was during her entitled phase. She has real friendships based on mutual respect rather than what people can do for her financially. She takes pride in paying her own bills and saving for her own goals. She's learned to appreciate what she has instead of constantly demanding more. Our relationship isn't perfect and probably never will be completely the same as it was before. But it's honest now. Madison knows she can't manipulate me with tears or guilt trips. I know I don't have to set myself on fire to keep her warm. We both learned that healthy relationships require boundaries, respect, and reciprocity. The extended family learned valuable lessons too. My parents stopped automatically taking Madison's side in conflicts and started asking more questions before making judgments. My grandparents became more careful about financial discussions with grandchildren. Uncle Mike and other relatives realized that saying no to unreasonable requests isn't cruel, it's necessary. Even Tyler, despite the pain of divorce, told me he was grateful that Madison's true nature revealed itself before they had children or bought a house together. He's now married to someone who shares his values about money and family, and they're genuinely happy. As I plan my own wedding now, I'm struck by how different my approach is from Madison's. David and I are paying for everything ourselves, asking for nothing beyond people's presence to celebrate with us. We've chosen venues and vendors we can afford, not ones we hope other people will pay for. We're planning a wedding that reflects our values and our budget, not our fantasies about what other people owe us. Madison has been incredibly supportive of our wedding planning, offering to help with DIY decorations and even suggesting ways we can save money on flowers and centerpieces. It's a complete reversal from the woman who once demanded six-figure gift contributions from family members. The whole experience taught me that sometimes the person who looks like the villain in the moment is actually the one doing the hardest but most necessary work. When I refused Madison's demands and didn't attend her wedding, I looked like a selfish, unsupportive sister to people who didn't know the full story. But by holding firm in my boundaries and refusing to enable her entitled behavior, I forced a reckoning that ultimately benefited everyone involved. Madison learned to be self-sufficient. My parents learned to stop enabling destructive behavior. The family learned that love doesn't mean giving someone everything they demand, regardless of the cost. Now, when Madison calls me, it's to catch up on our lives, share funny stories, or ask for advice about normal sister things. She doesn't call asking for money or expecting me to solve her problems. She's learned to solve her own problems, and she's proud of that growth. The wedding that I didn't attend became the catalyst for positive changes that rippled through our entire family. Madison's marriage may not have survived, but she emerged from that experience as a better person. My parents learned to be more discerning in their support. I learned that setting boundaries isn't cruel, it's essential for healthy relationships. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I had just given in and spent the $111,000 on Madison's wedding gifts. Would she have learned anything? Would the marriage have lasted longer if it had been built on the fantasy she created rather than reality? Would she have continued making increasingly unreasonable demands on family members? I believe that giving in would have only delayed the inevitable while making the eventual consequences much worse. Madison needed to learn that her behavior was unacceptable, and unfortunately, she needed to learn it the hard way. The wedding gift list that started this whole drama is now a family legend, not because it was successful, but because it represents the moment our family dynamics shifted towards something healthier. Madison jokes about it now, calling it her bridezilla moment, but I think she understands how serious the situation really was. When people hear this story, they often ask if I think Madison has really changed or if she's just learned to be more subtle in her manipulation. I believe she has genuinely changed, but I also maintain my boundaries just in case. Trust, once broken, takes time to rebuild, and that's okay. The most important lesson I learned from this experience is that you can love someone deeply while still refusing to enable their harmful behavior. You can support family while maintaining your own financial security. You can choose not to attend events where you're not genuinely welcome, even if it makes you look bad to people who don't understand the situation. Madison's wedding happened without me, but the real celebration came later, when she learned to celebrate her own accomplishments, her own growth, and her own ability to create a life she could sustain without depending on other people's money. That's a gift worth more than any BMW or designer luggage could ever be. In the end, the sister who screamed "Then don't even come" learned that actions have consequences, family has limits, and love sometimes means saying no. The family that initially blamed me for not enabling her behavior eventually understood that I was the only one brave enough to hold her accountable. And sometimes, being the bad guy in someone else's story is exactly what they need you to be.